For the old gamer like me, who's been knee-deep in the Souls-like craze since Demon's Souls, I was pretty stoked to get my hands on Deathbound. The promise of a dystopian world where you can swap between different spirits on the fly. Sign me up. But does this indie title live up to its ambitious premise? Let's dive in and find out. From the moment you boot up Deathbound, you're thrown into a world that's equal parts fascinating and frustrating. The game's setting, a post-apocalyptic realm called Zeminal, is a mishmash of medieval and sci-fi elements that somehow works. It's like someone threw Dark Souls and Blade Runner into a blender, and I'm here for it. You start as their one, a representative of the Church of Death, talk about a cheery bunch, but soon you're collecting spirits like Pokemon. Each spirit represents a different faction in this messed-up world, and switching between them is supposed to be the game's bread and butter. The story's actually not half bad. It's got layers, intrigue, and enough twists to keep you guessing. But here's the kicker. The voice acting is about as smooth as sandpaper. I found myself cringing more than once at the delivery of what could have been some pretty cool lines. Now, let's talk about the meat and potatoes, the gameplay. Deathbound's spirit-switching mechanic is its big selling point, and in theory, it's awesome. Being able to swap between different playstyles on the fly? That's the kind of innovation I live for in games. But in practice, it's clunkier than a rusty knight in full plate armor. The delay when switching spirits often left me wide open, turning what should have been a cool tactical decision into a death sentence. And don't even get me started on the health system. It's more confusing than trying to understand the plot of Inception after a few beers. That said, when everything clicks, it's magical. Pulling off a perfectly timed spirit switch to deliver a crushing blow to a boss. Chef's kiss. It's just a shame these moments are rarer than a well-cooked steak in a zombie apocalypse. Let's break it down. The good. Innovative spirit-switching concept, intriguing world-building, and some genuinely cool boss designs. The bad. Clunky combat, confusing health system, and characters that feel more like caricatures than fully fleshed-out individuals. The buggy. Oh boy, where do I start? Frame rate drops, audio glitches, and more crashes than a demolition derby. Playing Deathbound on my tricked-out gaming rig felt like trying to run Crysis on a toaster. It's not exactly a graphical powerhouse, so the performance issues are harder to swallow than a mouthful of salt. Look, I wanted to love Deathbound. It's got heart, ambition, and some genuinely cool ideas. But it feels like a diamond in the rough. Emphasis on the rough. If you're a die-hard Souls-like fan looking for something different, give it a shot. The spirit-switching mechanic, when it works, is a breath of fresh air in a genre that can sometimes feel stagnant. But if you're new to Souls-likes or easily frustrated by technical issues, you might want to wait for a few patches before diving in. Deathbound has the potential to be something special, but right now, it's more bound by its flaws than its innovative spirit. Deathbound is like that indie band with a killer concept album but shaky execution. It's got ambition in spades, but it needs some serious fine-tuning before it can hit the big leagues. Will I keep playing? Absolutely. There's something oddly compelling about its world and mechanics, bugs and all. But I'll be crossing my fingers for some major patches to smooth out the rough edges. In the end, Deathbound is a reminder that innovation doesn't always equate to perfection. It's a bold experiment in the Souls-like genre that, while flawed, shows promise. Here's hoping the developers can iron out the kinks and let this game's true potential shine through. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave your comments. And check my other reviews and guides at expertgamereviews.com.